In any relationship, a little bit of conflict, well, it's going to happen. But a full-on fight? That's optional. We've all been there, where a tiny disagreement suddenly gets really hot and just spirals. So today, we're going to dig into the language that fuels those fires, and, more importantly, the simple words that can put them out. Let's get into it.
We have all been there, right? A simple misunderstanding, maybe a minor annoyance, and then bam, you're in the middle of a huge argument. It's like a tiny spark hitting a pile of dry leaves. So, what is that spark? Let's figure out why conversations that start so small can so easily explode.
Well, it turns out the answer is usually hiding in plain sight. It's the words we choose. Without even thinking about it, we can use language that's like pouring gasoline on a flame. A classic one? Telling someone to calm down. It sounds helpful, right? But it actually just dismisses their feelings, which of course only makes things worse. It's an instinct, but it's one that almost always backfires.
In this slide, this shows the fundamental trap perfectly. Over on the left, we've got you language. Anytime we start a sentence with you, like you always or you never, we're basically pointing a finger. It's an accusation. And what's the first thing you do when you're accused of something? You get defensive. And just like that, you're caught in a cycle of attack and defense. And the real problem gets totally lost in the fight.
Yeah, just think of these phrases as conversation bombs. Be more reasonable. What you're really saying is that they're being unreasonable. Or, what's your problem? That makes the person the problem. Every single one of these is a shortcut to making things worse because it's a judgment, not an observation. So, if you language is the fuel, then what's the fire extinguisher? Well, it's a shift that's actually surprisingly simple. Instead of talking about what the other person did, you start by talking about your own experience. You just switch that one little word, from you to I. And that's the first huge step to putting out the fire.
And that brings us to the famous I statement. It's all about expressing what you feel and what you need without attacking the other person. This isn't about being soft. It's about being incredibly clear and just owning your own feelings. It immediately brings their defenses down because you're just talking about yourself. And let's be honest, you're the world's leading expert on that.
And look, this isn't just some nice idea. The data actually backs this up. This study from Edith Cowan University found that I language was consistently seen as way less hostile. When people started their sentences with I, the listener was just far less likely to get defensive. So this one simple switch really does have a measurable impact. But here's the thing. Just saying I feel mad isn't quite enough, right? It can still be a little fuzzy. To make this tool really powerful and really clear, we need a bit of a structure, almost like a formula. And here it is, the XYZ formula. It's so simple. First, X is the behavior. And you have to be specific here, what you actually observed, not a judgment. Then, Y is the impact, the real, concrete result it has on you. And finally, Z is the feeling that it creates inside you. Behavior, impact, feeling. That's all there is to it. Now let's see what this looks like in the real world. Instead of a big, vague complaint like you're a workaholic, which just starts a fight, you use the formula. When work calls interrupt our weekend, I feel disconnected. See? It's not an attack. It's a specific, solvable problem. Same with, you never listen to me. That's a dead end. But when you're on your phone while I'm talking, I feel hurt. Now that opens the door to a real conversation. Okay, so once you've got the I statement down, you're ready for the pro-level move. This is a really advanced technique, and it's all about changing just one tiny word, but it has the power to build a massive bridge between two totally different viewpoints. The word is but. Think about how often we use it. I hear what you're saying, but. What you're really communicating is, I'm about to completely ignore everything you just said. It just erases their point. But. What if you replace that but with and? That changes everything. Just listen to this powerful example from the study. I understand you're tired after work, and I feel it's unfair that I do all the cleaning. See what that does? It allows two different truths to exist at the exact same time. Your reality is valid, and my reality is also valid. It doesn't force you to pick a side, it invites you to become partners. So what does this one little word do? It completely shifts the dynamic from a tug-of-war where you're pulling against each other to a collaboration. You stop trying to win an argument and start working together to find what the Harvard method calls a win-win solution.
And this really gets to the core principle here, something from the Harvard Negotiation Project. The goal is never to defeat the other person. The goal is to team up with them to defeat the problem. You have to learn how to separate the person from the problem.
I love this motto from the Harvard method. It just captures the entire philosophy so perfectly. You can be tough, you can be relentless, you can be totally focused on tackling the issue, but you have to stay respectful, empathetic, and soft on the person you're working with.
So, by shifting from you to I, by using that simple XYZ formula, by building bridges with and by always focusing on the problem instead of the person, you can fundamentally change the whole nature of disagreement. You go from a heated battle to a cool, collaborative partnership, where everybody can actually win.
So as we wrap up, I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. What's that difficult conversation in your own life that maybe you've been putting off? With these tools in your pocket, which one will you transform first? Thanks for joining me for this explainer.